You are listening to the
World Extreme Medicine.
The World Extreme Medicine
Podcast.
In this session, we're going to deep dive into the world of ultra endurance sports, exploring the physical, mental, and emotional challenges that push athletes to their limits and beyond. So today we have a guest with us who has not only conquered one of the toughest ultra triathlons in the world, but also learned invaluable lessons along the way. So our guest, Sébastien Marlier, is a seasoned Ironman triathlete who has recently undertaken the Bretzel Ultra Triathlon. It's a grueling event that tests the very limits of human endurance. So from navigating complex nutritional strategies to mastering the mental game, Sébastien will share how he's adapted and overcome obstacles and indeed emerged stronger on the other side. So in this episode, we're going to explore the unique challenges of ultra endurance events, but also looking at managing sleep and hydration to overcoming physical pain and mental fatigue. Sébastien, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I wondered if we could just initially get you to unpack your background, Sébastien, for listeners, and how you got into ultra triathlons.
Okay, so I started with football when I was a child. I was a goalkeeper. During my studies in physical education and sport, I discovered athletics, and I practiced the decathlon in competition from the age of 22 to 35. Then I started triathlon with sprint distances, then Olympic distances, and in 2016, I participated in my first half Ironman, and in 17, my first Ironman in Kalmar, Sweden. I loved it, and since then, I've participated in 10 Ironmans. I was then tempted by a 24-hour triathlon, which is 3 hours of swimming, 12 hours of cycling, and 9 hours of running. And I wanted to know if I was capable of it, and I enjoyed doing this race. So I heard about the Ultra Triathlon and the World Championship that would take place in Colmar in France. And I said to myself, why not? Why not to participate? And then the specific training started.
Listen, that's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And Sébastien, before we sort of set off with the formal questions, could you maybe just unpack the enormity of the race for listeners? Just maybe the distances and just how grueling the ultra endurance race is.
Okay, so the Bretzel Ultra Triathlon is an ultra endurance triathlon. The Ultra Triathlon starts when the Ironman distance triathlon ends. An Ironman distance is 3.8 kilometers of swimming, 180 kilometers of cycling, and 42 kilometers, so a marathon run. This year, the Ultra Triathlon was World Championship, and it was over the continuous quintuple, so 5 times the distance of an Ironman. Continuous means that you have to complete the 5 distance of swimming before you can start the bike, and then finish the bike before you can run. The distance to be covered in swimming was 19 kilometers, the cycling was 900 kilometers, and the running was 211 kilometers. The time limit was 148 hours, which means 6 days and 4 hours. And I finished the race in 95 hours and 31 minutes and 3 seconds, which means 3 days, 23 hours and 31 minutes.
Wow. Listen, that's just phenomenal. So I think that's just phenomenal. So listen, we're going to dig into that, into all the aspects of the race, actually, Sébastien, just from cognitively, mentally, physically. But I think one of the things I'd like to start with, Sébastien, is just looking at the nutritional strategy. So you mentioned you had a nutrition plan, and it was based on your Ironman experience, quite rightly. Just, I guess my first question would be, what were the biggest differences in nutritional needs over 3 days and 23 hours between an Ironman and an ultra triathlon? And indeed, how did you adjust your plan accordingly during training?
Okay, so the main difference between these two distances is the intensity. For example, my average speed on the bike during an Ironman is 36 kilometers an hour over 180 kilometers. But on the 900 kilometer of the Ultra Triathlon, my average speed without counting the brakes was 27.6 kilometers an hour. Then it means that it's much slower. On an Ironman, the energy intake comes from fat and carbohydrates, but on the ultra triathlon, energy comes mainly from lipids and also a little bit from carbohydrates and proteins. I was used to take gels and energy bars every 40 minutes while cycling or running on Ironman, as well as a isotonic drink every 15 minutes. But during my preparation races and training, I noticed that too much sugar gels bar was a bit sickening. So I adjusted my plan by using more normal diet, kind of normal diet with full meals, during my breaks.
Listen, that's fantastic. And, I can very much attest to a small part of that. I ran the UTMB in Switzerland a couple of months ago and found excessive intake of glucose actually quite sickening, to your point, actually. And actually, taking gels and dextrose tablets too much can almost be too much for your stomach to handle. And that goes to my second question, really, how you trained your stomach to handle full meals during a race. And indeed, what specific foods or indeed techniques did you find most effective for quick digestion in such an intense event?
Okay, so to train my digestion, um, every day during the academic year, I trained in the weight room of my school every lunchtime. So I ate the food I had planned to eat during the race in the form of shakes or freeze-dried food. So in the gym, I started with the leg press and the hamstring machine to have my hands free to eat. Then I continued my training on the other muscle groups after that, and it took me less than 10 minutes to prepare the meal and eat because it was in the form of a shakes and fried food, which means you have only to add hot water and the meal is prepared.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I think, like you said, as an analog of the actual race, it's prudent to almost try and replicate that in training. And so, Sebastian, could we just shift and look at the mental preparation? Because there's a significant amount of mental preparation for a race like this. You worked with a mental trainer, I believe, in training, who tested your sort of personality and helped you develop almost these cognitive protocols for the race. Can you share some of these mental strategies that were most effective, I guess, in helping you push through some of the toughest moments?
Yes, to prepare for this race, I thought I would need help from a mental coach because it's so long that I thought I would have some difficulties along the way. So I found one mental coach, which is Simon Caland in Belgium, and we began with a diagnosis and a personality study. So then, with that, he highlighted my strength and weaknesses. And for me, one of my weaknesses was dealing with the emotion. So he helped me understand that an emotion has a meaning, and he helped me to react to that meaning. As an example, if you feel anger is a feeling and the meaning of this is that someone overtook your limits. So then you feel anger, and how to react is to stop, to calm down, to say to that person, okay, stop, you overtook my limit. I need few moments to calm down, and then we will talk after. So it's an example, but you always have different kind of feelings. Sometimes you don't talk very well to someone because of something, and he helped me to deal with my emotion. Also the thoughts. when you are in a race, you can have positive thoughts or negative thoughts, and these thoughts will have an impact on your race. So the solution to not draw a negative scenario in your head, you have to stay focused on the present. So to stay focused on the present, he helped me to develop. He gave me tools to stay focused on the present. As an example, the first one is the body scan. The body scan is you start with your tools and you go up to your head and you try to feel how that works. If everything is okay, then it's fine. If you have a trouble, then you try to figure it out. So you stay focused on your body, on the present, and if there is something wrong, you have to deal with. You have to find a solution in the present. So you don't go in your mind. You stay focused. The other tool was called VACOG for visual aspect, hearing, kinesthetic, smelling, and gustative aspect. So it's like body scan, but for if you are in a negative thinking, you say, okay, stay focused on the present. What am I seeing? I am seeing beautiful landscape. I'm in France. It's beautiful. I can see a stork. I can see different things. Then you go to the hearing. I can hear my breathing. I can hear the noise of my bike. And so with that process, you stay focused on the present and you don't have negative thoughts anymore. And another interesting tool is the thermometer. You know, in such a race, you have to stay in an optimal operating zone. If sometimes you don't stay in that zone, as an example, if you are, my optimal operating zone was a 7 out of 10, which means in that zone, I'm focused, I'm confident, I feel strong, I feel easy, my heart rate is in the good zone, in the proper zone. And if another athlete overtook me, if I'm not in this zone, as an example, if I'm in the 9 out of 10, I'm excited. I want to race against him. But if I do that, I'm not in my own zone, and I will push harder on the pedals. I will go in another zone. The power output will be increased. My heart will be increased, and it will not be good for my race. So I have to stay focused and say, okay, I'm in 7, I'm in 9, and if I'm for example in 5 out of 10, I feel tired. The other athletes overtake me, and I have to find a solution. It means that maybe I need rest, or maybe I have to. It's the good time for a meal. So the mental preparation is very important in such a race.
No, absolutely. And to your point, actually, Sebastian, around good self-care, not even just good self-care, really fundamentally robust self-care over 3 days and 23 hours, because it becomes so imperative to almost enforce rest and nutrition over the longevity of time. And to your earlier point around slowing everything down, slowing the cycle down, slowing the swimming down, slowing the running down, just because the longevity of the race mandates energy conservation over such a long period. And so just to double click on the mental and cognitive strategies that you used, one of the things I realized running the UTMB in Switzerland is just how important it is to track your race, because like you say, you need a baseline, especially when you've never done this race before, and your only comparator is an ultra marathon, which is in itself absolutely challenging. But so you were monitoring your race with a Sunto watch, and it was saying, I guess you only had 13% resource level, and indeed you were monitoring both the GPS locations and everything on your watch, really. I guess my question is around just managing to stay physically focused during the environmental challenges, because over 3 days and 23 hours, the environment's changing significantly. Daytime, nighttime, cold, hot, different types of weather. How did you manage to just focus mentally regarding the changing in environments and changing in fundamentally in your energy levels?
Okay, so as an example, at the beginning of the race, I was stressed, and the week before I had to work a lot. So the night before was not good because we slept in an in a hotel with my crew, and so it was complicated. And as I woke up the day of the race, my Sunto watch told me that my resources were 13%. So it was stressful, but I decided to stay focused on my goal. And my goal was to participate and do a world championship and finish it. So I tried to relax and stay focused on the present. And um, and I told to myself, I will go anyway. So as I come closer to the swimming pool, and as I entered the arena, I saw the other athlete. My feelings of fatigue, my sensation of fatigue decreases because my excitation increases, and I was happy to be there. And as I entered the water, it was a kind of relief. And also at the beginning of the swim, after 25 meters, I had a question in my mind. It was, do you belong there? And I was in the fastest lane, and I was able to stay just behind the other opponents. In my lane, there was the world record holder of, arch to arch. So Enduroman, there was the world record holder of the 10 times Ironman distance, and I was able to stay in their feet. So it gave me a boost of confidence, a boost of energy, and I started to relax and to swim smoothly.
Listen, that's fantastic. Just to like you say, just to find your stride, find your pace, and then find your level of almost, it sounds weird to say, relaxation within the race. You start to become relaxed in your body and sort of set into that tempo. So you've just spoken to sleep actually and the importance of sleep. Could you maybe just really emphasize how crucial sleep is during or indeed before a ultra triathlon? Did you nap during the ultra triathlon? Were there designated nap times, and would you change anything for future events?
Yes, I had a plan. The plan was based on my experience of the 24-hour race. During that 24-hour race, I was able not to sleep. I also did a race of 500-kilometer bike, and I was able not to sleep during 28 hours. So my plan was to do small naps of 10 or 20 minutes during the bike when my body told me that I needed a rest. And I had planned to sleep for 1 hour and 30 minutes at the end of the 900-kilometer to allow myself to sleep for one complete cycle. It takes 1 hour and 30 minutes to complete such a cycle. But the reality is that when I started the bike, I was overheat, and after 1 hour, my heart rate was much higher than my power output. So I used my tools to understand that it was because I was too hot. I decided to stop to try to do a 20-minute nap, and also to reduce my overheating. I didn't sleep because it was too early into the race, but it helped me to reduce my body temperature. And then I could be able to go back on the bike. And after that, I decided to adjust my plan, not about the timing, but about my feelings. And I allow myself to take some 20-minute naps when my body asked me to do it. So during the bike, I think I did 4 times 20-minute naps. At the end of the bike, I was awake because I thought I would finish the bike during the night and then sleep during the night. But I finished the bike in the morning and the sun was already there. So I was awake and I started running. But after a while, it was too hot. And I decided to take my 1 hour and 30-minute break to sleep for a complete cycle. But in the tent, it was also too hot. So I slept only for 50 minutes. Then I woke up, overheat. I started to try to reduce my body temperature with ice and with cold drinks. And then I go back to running. And the longest period of time I slept was 50 minutes. And after that, during the run, it was only the 10 minutes naps when my body told me to stop.
So let's look at that, Sébastien. Let's look at the hydration, because you mentioned the hydration there. Could you speak to how you managed your hydration during the different stages in the race? And indeed, were there any adjustments you had to make on the fly due to unexpected conditions?
Yes, my hydration strategy was to drink every 30 minutes during the swim. So after 30 minutes, it was water and gel. After 1 hour, it was isotonic drink with energetic bar or a pancake or a banana, something more solid. And every 30 minutes or hour, it was a mix between water and his isotonic drink. During the bike race, it was only isotonic drink because in isotonic there is sugar and also minerals. And as it was very hot, it was very important to drink isotonic with minerals and not pure water. So every 15 minutes, it was in my plan to drink 150 milliliter of isotonic drink during the bike race. And during the run, I forgot to mention that the race was the run race was on a 1.3 kilometer loop. So at every lap, I came back to my tent, and there was a table with 2 bottles, one of isotonic drink and one of water. And depending on my sensation, I drank isotonic or water. But as it was very hot condition, we add ice into the bottle so that it could help to reduce my body temperature a bit. About my body temperature, I also used during the run ice. I had small piece of ice in my hands and also around my neck and under my cap, my head. It helped to reduce the temperature.
No, indeed, Sébastien. And that was really my next question as well, around lessons from hot weather that you use to adjust your pace, which you spoke to before, but also using ice strategically around these points, so around your neck and hands, just to cool off, and also in your drinks, so you're using ice within the isotonic mix just to try and reduce every kind of mechanism for heat loss, really. Did you use any other strategies for the hot weather? Using a cap just to just to take away any direct sunlight to the head, and did you sort of cover up your neck or other body parts from the sun? How else did you sort of mitigate some of the hot weather?
Yes, first I have to say that I did a mistake during the swim. I had a sleeveless swimsuit, and I did not use sunscreen. So I had burnings on my shoulders and my ankles. So this was one mistake. During the bike, I had sunscreen on my neck, on my arms to protect me from the sun. And but I would like to say also about the hot weather condition is that when it's too hot, you don't have to stay focused on the numbers, on the speed, on your plan, because you will lose a lot of energy and you will have to stop to cool down. So first thing to manage hot weather is to reduce the speed during the day. So and during the night you can go faster. I told about the speed before, but my average speed was 27.6. During the day, it was slower, and during the night, it was 32 or sometimes 34 km um, on average. So it's important to adapt to the weather condition. I should have done it also during the run. I should have walked during the peak temperature to because I had to stop after 3 or 4 laps running. I was too hot, so I always had to run 3, 4 laps, then stop for 10 minutes to reduce my body temperature. I should have had walked during the hotter period, and I was able to run well during the night. So on a race which is so long, I should have adapted this way. Another way I should have adapt myself is sleeping. I should have slept during the hotter period. But I used ice around my neck because it's the place where the blood goes to the brain. And I used ice under my head to reduce the temperature of my brain. And also in the arms, it feels it gives good sensation to have ice in your hands when the weather is very hot.
So looking at the natural diet versus gels and bars, Sebastian, you found that gels and bars became sickening after a while, and I can very much attest to that myself. What natural food alternatives did you use or indeed incorporate, and how did they impact your energy levels and indeed performance?
I knew from the experience of the 24-hour triathlon that I would prefer to eat pancake with sugar of with um, nuts pasta. It will gives me energy and it will taste good. Also, I planned to use my shakes. My shakes were made with vegetables, but they contained all the carbohydrates, proteins, and minerals that were needed, and also the energy intake um, necessary for such a race. And the freeze-dried food was on the form of sachet with dried food like powder. And when you had water, it turned into a kind of puree with potatoes, onions, and also small pieces of meat. And I ate it with um, apple compote. I don't know the word in English.
Yeah, that's correct. It's apple compote.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to add few calories and because it's easier to eat it, eating a puree with a compote is faster. But after one day or 2 days, I was quite a bit bored of fried meals, freeze-dried food. So I started to eat what the organization had cooked. For example, pizzas or sometimes other kind of meal, and also with a salad. And it was very. I was happy to eat something different during the race. And also, as I mentioned before, the energy intake is different. You don't have to base your strategy on carbohydrates only. And the gels are, during the swim, I start to feel sickening with the gel. So I incorporate bananas and pancakes during the swim.
Listen, that's fantastic, Sébastien, because I very much can attest to that. We ran for 14 hours, and it's certainly not 3 days and 23 hours. But even after, I would say, 6 hours, myself, the gels became sickening, and my stomach couldn't take the gels. So it doesn't take long before you, like you say, you have to differentiate and really reach out to different food sources to offset stomach complaints and otherwise. So it's great to see you managed to pivot and look at different food strategies. Just looking at skin irritations now, Sébastien, what were some of these skin irritations that you experienced? Because I believe they were a significant issue for you. What preventative measures and treatments would you recommend to avoid and or manage this problem?
Yes, that was with the heat. That was the main problem during this race. It was even painful, and without finding solution during the race, I could have been forced to stop. So the most important thing is to use lubricating cream. And during the swim, just before the swim, I used a stick to put some type of Vaseline gel where I knew there would be friction, like in the shoulders, and it was okay with the swimming. But for the bike, uh, I I didn't take, because during my preparation, um, I had so many things to do that I forgot to take my specific lubricating cream for the cycle. So I used my stick, but it was not enough. And after a few hours on the bike, I start feeling chafing. And the chafing was uh, between my buttocks. So my mother, who was in my crew, was a nurse. So she helped me with a paper towel. We put some lubricant on it, and then it reduced the friction. Also, I should have been more careful about hygiene. I should have changed more often my clothes and take shower. During the whole race, I took only 2 showers, and I changed only one time my cycling short. So I think it's very important to change clothes and to use lubricating cream with a big quantity to reduce the friction. During the run, the pain was more to the groin. So I tested different lubricant cream that the other athletes gave me because they saw I was suffering. They asked why. I explained them, and there, as it is called an ultra family, I understand now what the meaning of ultra family. I didn't know before, and now I understand that every athlete helps each other. And at that time, I was suffering. They gave me help. They gave me different kind of cream, but the pain was still there. And then I talked to a woman from Canada, and she had a cream with lidocaine. which is an anesthetic cream, and that helps me because the pain was reduced to zero, and she helped me, and she helped me to finish the race.
Listen, that's fantastic. And like you said, it's all this is valuable learning actually. And I very much can attest to that myself. I think the longest I've run is 120K. It's certainly not anything like the Bretzel or Ultra Triathlon, but that community was there. We experienced that community over 120 kilometers, 23 and a half hours of running. It was that we helped look after other people, but other people helped look after us. And I think you're right. It becomes less of a race between individuals and more of a race against the environment and the actual distance. And actually, you need to work together actually, and it's there's not that. It's a different competitive spirit actually, and it's a race against the elements, and that's really interesting to see that pivot actually. And so just double clicking on that actually, Sebastian, just the advice from fellow competitors. Did you What were some of the most valuable tips that you received from fellow competitors, and how did they influence your race strategy?
Yes, as as it was my first ultra triathlon, and as I'm a quite good cyclist, when I overtook other competitors, sometimes I engage conversation, and then I ask a question: what advice would you give to a beginner? And the first answer was, don't go too fast, don't push too hard, pace yourself, because it's a very long race. So that was very good advice. And one of the other athletes talked to me about hygiene, and that's when I changed my clothes. It's because another athlete told me about the importance, and he told me that it was because of this reason, skin irritation, that sometimes athletes had to give up the race, to stop the race. So I started not to panic, but to be scared about that, because I was starting to feel pain, and I had to use my mental tools to try to fix it. And we found a solution, as I explained it. But other competitors, as you said, they are there to compete, but they are there to compete with themselves. I was there to compete with myself, and I also give some kind of advice to other athletes, because they asked me about my nutrition. So I brought them to my tent, and I showed them what kind of food I used. And so maybe next race they will use the same strategy.
No, indeed, indeed. And so let's just talk through that slightly, because the real element, like you said, was actually competing against yourself, Sebastian, and you speak quite candidly to pushing through the pain. And you were saying after running 150K kilometers, you experienced severe pain, but managed to continue by walking and eventually running again. Could you just walk us through the mental and physical process of how you overcame that pain to finish well?
Okay, so I have to talk a little bit about the ego. So I think male athletes have to deal with their ego, and sometimes it's the ego that try to manage the race. And I think women, they are more, I would say, clever, and they focus more on themselves and on their sensation. And I had to learn it during the race. So after 150 kilometer, I had I had walked for few times, but mainly I had run for 150 kilometer. And at that moment, I started to feel very uncomfortable, and my legs were painful, my quads. And my ego told me continue to run. But as I come close to my tent, my uncle who was in my crew asked me, "What's the problem?" I told him, now I feel pain in my quads." And he said, "Why don't you walk? Just look around you. All the other athletes are mainly walking now. You can walk." So I had to deal with my ego and accept to walk. That's what I did for 2 or 3 hours. But my ego was still there. So I tried to walk like an athlete, like the Olympics. They walk for 50 kilometers and they have a special technique. I had learned it during my studies, so I was able to walk like an athlete. But after 4 laps, my uncle told me, "What about your heart rate?" And it was too high. So it was too fast. So I tried to reduce my speed, and I thought about the uh, military. The military they have to walk, but at a certain speed. And I was listening to music, so I tried to find a military march, and that military march gave me the proper pace, and I listened to that music for 3 hours, the same music. So it helped me to continue, but to reduce and to adapt my speed. And as I adapted my speed, my quads, my muscle could recover because there were no more impact on my muscle, but they were still functioning. So the blood was still circulating inside my muscle. And after 3 hours, I noticed that another athlete was trying to come closer to close the gap. So my ego came back and tell me, "So this is a race. Maybe you should try to run." So I started to run, and the pain was gone. And that's very, very interesting because 3 hours before, I thought that I wouldn't be able to run. And at kilometer 170, I still had a marathon to run. And I was able to run it because I had recovered uh, thanks to walking. And I was able to run thanks to my mental, to my motivation, because I wanted to stay in the top 10. And it gave me the energy to do it.
So, Sebastian, just my final question, really. I'm going to roll two questions into one. One was if you could just tell us, indeed, and listeners, where you finished, so your finishing position, and then indeed just the post-race recovery and how that recovery process looked. But if you could just initially share your finishing position with us.
Okay, so I finished in ninth place.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. And about the recovery process, I did a mistake. The first mistake was that after the race, I get back to work immediately. I finished at 6 a.m. in the morning, and as a teacher, I had meetings to talk about the students. So I went back to Belgium. I stay in my car for 5 hours. I was not driving. I slept only for 1 hour, but my feet started to swell, and I should have used socks, recovery socks, compression socks. That's the first mistake. Uh, I should have allowed myself to sleep and to recover, but my my professionalism told me that I had to go back to work. So I also missed the end of the race. I also missed the ceremony at the end of the event. But that's a mistake. That's what I did, but that's it. But after that, I heard that I needed 6 weeks of recovery because it takes 6 weeks to the body to adjust and adapt. So during those weeks, I only trained for 2-3 hours a week, just small swimming because my shoulder was painful, and cycling, not running because I still had pain in my feet, and also in some of my tendons. So now it's 8 weeks, and I started to run again, to bike and swim.
Listen, Sebastian, that's fantastic. And you just deconstructing all of those answers as really benefits the larger community, actually, because the lessons learned that you gathered from running the first time is super helpful, even just to me, to hear your reflections and indeed analysis post race, and how it's the post recovery period is so important, actually. And it's these incremental benefits, the compression socks, the tapering, so just very gentle exercise on the back end of such a big race, but also the nutrition, the hydration, the rest, and indeed the mental approach. All these components have iterative benefit over time. So it's great just to get your reflections over what is truly one of the world's largest and most challenging ultra triathlons. So, and it's fantastic that all this came together to position you into ninth position, which was just a real testimony to your hard work and experience over these Ironman events as well, which were sort of analog events for you. But I just want to say thank you, Sebastian, for the last 45 minutes. It's been great just to get your reflections, great to get the lessons learned and the nuggets of wisdom from the race. We'll put links in the show notes to the Bretzel Ultra Triathlon, so people can have a look at it, and they can just to understand the longevity of the race, just the components of the race, and how much of a challenge it actually is. And it's just, I just want to say thank you, Sebastian, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the episode. Please feel free to rate, review, and subscribe on whichever platform you're listening to. Please also head over to the World Extreme Medicine website, where you can find more engaging content on extreme medicine webinars, and indeed the collection of courses from our global network, including humanitarian, disaster relief, expedition, space, military, tactical, and performance medicine. Thanks again.